Okay, today we're going to talk about an important theme in the Bible: love. Love is the most important theme in the Bible. As followers of Christ, we're called primarily out of love to love. Jesus says the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all of your heart and soul and mind, and to love others as yourself. This is what being a Christian is all about. It's not a bunch of other stuff. Love is the main purpose. But what is love? Love is a word that gets tossed around loosely all over the place. You love ice cream, you love your favorite football team, you love your baseball team, you love your kids, you love somebody you work with. But what is it? So it's often under it's used lightly and sometimes wrongly. So the dictionary defines love as an intense feeling of affection. But love in the biblical sense is more than that. It's more than just a feeling. 1 John chapter 4 verse 16 says God is love, and whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. So what does this mean? What is this love thing? So C.S. Lewis wrote a book called The Four Loves, which he attempted to define the four Greek root words of love. So we have one word for love, and we use modifiers to define how we love things. So I absolutely love this, or I very, very much love this. So the Greek that the New Testament is written in doesn't use these modifiers. It uses root words and then adds something. So, like, an instance in English would be loveless. We love less. And we make that into one word. That's how the Greek works. So, the four loves, the four Greek root words for love are eros, storge, philia, and agape. You got that? So, you don't have to. But we're going to kind of go through these four loves, these four different things of love, and kind of see what they mean and how the Bible uses them and which one we're called to use. So, eros, we're going to start with, is the romantic love. You might recognize it from the word erotic. So this is the romance novel kind of love. And guess what? It's not used in the Bible at all. This is not what the Bible is talking about love. So then we have storge. Storge is a natural love. So you automatically love you, or you storge your children, or this isn't a deep love. This is just, you could storge or love ice cream or mountains or a beach. You could, and storge is only used a handful of times in the Bible. Then there's philia. Philia is a respectful love. It's more of an admiration, not perfect. But so to give you some examples of words you know that use philia, Philadelphia. Have you ever heard of Philadelphia? They were in a Super Bowl a while back, but that's not, we don't have to love them because of that. But Philadelphia just means brotherly love. So you love like your brother. Philanthropy is another word that's a great example of how philia is used. So filio, anthropy, anthropod, love of anthropods, love of humans, love of people. So this is kind of love, can be benevolent, but it also often has ulterior motives. You expect something out of this type of love. So if you're a philanthropist, you give, but you expect admiration because you gave. So a lot of times this is filio, it has a self-righteous motive. Philia often accompanies works, and philanthropy itself is a works word. or a transactional love. You love, and therefore you expect to be loved back. That's not the biblical kind of love, although philia is used a handful of times in the Bible to define certain things. So philia often gives you, I will give and therefore I will receive. This is not biblical. This is not the kind of love that the Bible talks about. So Jesus gives us a parable in Luke 18, verses 9 through 14, that talks about this type of love. Actually, it talks about this type of philia, and the next type of love we're going to talk about is agape. So, to some who are confident in their own righteousness and look down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. So Pharisees were the holiest of holy people in the Jewish community. Tax collectors worked for the Romans who occupied Israel, and they were looked down on. They took people's money and gave it to the enemy. So the Pharisee, who was the religious guru, stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, and adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and I give a tenth of all I get. So in other words, he has got a transactional kind of love. God, look at who I am. I'm so great, you should love me. This philia, this surface type of love, but the tax collector shows a different kind of love. But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up at heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. He's honest in who he is. I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. So, the tax collector didn't believe he deserved love, but God loved him. What does it say? One went home justified. Not the one who tried to earn it, the one who was honest with who he was. So, that brings us to the next kind of love, which depends on your heart. Agape. Agape is a deep, deep kind of love. It goes beyond, it doesn't ask for anything in return. It goes beyond, it's an unconditional kind of love. It's selfless, sacrificial love. It has no motive other than the heart. So this is the love we're called for. So Paul, the Apostle Paul, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, gives us this wonderful definition of love. It's fantastic. And you may have heard this before, but it's something you really have to think about, because it's the crux of, after we're saved and justified, this is the crux of how we should live. So I'm going to read this. And yet I will show you the most excellent way, the way to go. If I speak in tongues of men or angels, but do not have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and knowledge, and I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor, phileo, and give over my body to hardship so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me, for now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain: hope and love, but the greatest of these is love. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic chapter in the Bible. So, what's Paul talking about here? Verses 1 through 3. We kind of explained these as we went. But he's saying, if we have these great things, if I can make great videos, but don't do it out of love, it's meaningless. If I have a fortune and I give to the poor, if I don't do it out of love, it's meaningless. If my heart doesn't have the right motivation, it doesn't mean anything to God. It means nothing. There's a whole book called Ecclesiastes about this. If your motivation is not God, and not the love for God, and not I'm starting to preach. If not an unfailing love, then you're nothing, as Paul says. Now he goes on in the next verses, which is 4 through 7, and he defines, or he gives us aspects of love. So let's go through this. Love is patient. It has no end. So if there's somebody you love, your kid is out of whack, or this person is not nice to you that you love, you still love them anyways, and you wait for them to turn around. That goes to the next part. Love is kind. It isn't angry love. You don't get mad because somebody doesn't do what you want them to. Love does not envy. It doesn't covet. It doesn't say, I want this kind of love. I want this from you. It doesn't have that boundary. It does not boast. It doesn't say, I love you to the moon and back, so you should love me back. That's not love. It's not proud. It's not saying, I love you, I give so much that I deserve love. It does not dishonor others because you, as the tax collector, knew he was sinful. He's just like the other people that do things bad to him. He doesn't deserve love, so he gives it. It is not self-seeking. It doesn't have a motive. It's not transactional. It's not easily angered. That means it's calm. It's patient when people act up, but that doesn't mean it isn't correcting. Okay? Keeps no records of wrong. You did this to me 15 years ago, and I'm not going to forgive it. No, that's not love. Love forgives it instantly. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. Well, you can contemplate that one on your own. It always protects. It always trusts. It isn't suspicious. So, I'll give you an example. Somebody comes off the street and asks you for money because they're in hard times. You don't analyze them and say, oh, you're just going to use this for drugs. That's not love. Love is, I give them $10 and they go on their way. It doesn't matter what they use it for because it was given out of love. It has no boundaries. It always hopes. It always hopes that Jesus will do his work in this homeless person that's a drug addict that got somehow that your example, Christ is going to work that to the good. It hopes, and it always perseveres. It never stops. So is this the kind of love that you have? Me neither. That's what the next part of this chapter is about. Verses 9 through, we'll say 12. It never fails. So where all these things that we think are important, Paul uses it in the religious sense, prophecies, tongues, knowledge, their wealth, endearment, having other people endear you, your pride, all those things are passing away. They're part of the world. They're going to end. They have an end, but there's something that doesn't end. Paul promises. And we don't know it in full now, but when this world is all over and we're in the next world, we'll know it fully. What is it? It's love. It's agape. We'll fully know love, where our broken bodies don't know it completely. We strive for it because Jesus gave it to us. The Holy Spirit guides us in it. But we're not perfect in love. That's what Paul's saying here in the end. So when everything else is gone, to end this, verse 13 of chapter 13, and now 3 remain: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. So when everything passes away, we have faith and hope, and they're tied to love, because love, faith and hope don't exist without love. So if you want something to work on, forgive, pray to God that you will love. You not have ulterior motives, but you'll love those even when they don't love you. Thanks. Have a great day.